Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are out on the launch pad with our repurposed DN6B. I think this is actually the L variant, not that it matters a whole lot, but we are on our asteroid redirect mission, the first phase of it. Our relative inclination with the asteroid has fallen to 12.92. It'll get down to 12.9. Well, it was down to 12.91. It will not get any lower. It's only going to get higher. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing off the pad and try to get in close for rendezvous. Hopefully we can avert catastrophe here. So anyway, SAS is on, throttle is set to full, ignition sequence start, engines clipping into the launch pad, looks like a good light, clamps off. Okay, looks like we are clear and moving skyward. So I'm really not sure about this 12.92 degree relative inclination. So we're gonna just try to do the absolute best that we can. We'll probably try to launch a little more southwards and then correct back onto our target vector. And we'll just see how well this works for us. Maybe we can push that target vector straight down to the 90, but we do have a whole lot of excess fuel and not a whole lot of tonnage to work with, but the limiting factor on the mission really are getting out there is the number of ignitions on our HD3 upper stage. It is the A variant of that engine, so it has 5 ignitions, which is a whole lot better than the 2 that the base model comes with, but 5 is not a very big number. And so we do need to use them sparingly, especially considering a rendezvous. So really the ultimate goal is to get into orbit with the entirety of the HG3 stage unspent and not a single ignition used. So I guess it's about time for me to start concentrating on stuff and start doing our roll program. Aim down the 135, just sacrificing a little bit of that Earth rotational speed. Half of it, maybe? Anyway, and lead into this gravity turn, so we'll see how well this works out for us. I'm kind of shooting in the dark, but I will pick all of you up in orbit. So, despite being way under our weight class for this launch, we will be kind of running down to the wire as far as our available Delta V, thanks to this absolutely absurd flight path. I guess. I really wish I had taken a couple more practice runs at this to kind of figure out a method that works best, because, well, if you try to dogleg it, as you'll see me doing here, it offsets your ascending and descending nodes to rather shallow altitudes, I should say, but you do end up with a smaller initial relative inclination than if you just launch straight to the 90 and then correct in orbit, although it probably would have been more efficient to do it that way rather than the method I am using here, which is horribly inefficient, but that's why we have this massive DN6, is because, well, 1, we need to get the tonnage to orbit, and 2, we got the spare Delta V, so why not use it? So we are approaching the Bahamas, off the coast of Cuba, and so we're going to start making our very serious dogleg turn and wasting mountains and mountains and mountains of Delta V, but I don't know, like I said, I think we have it to spare. I wish I had gotten a few more practice runs. There's booster set and fairing set and a return to full throttle on our 6 RS-25s, and then we'll just start leading into this turn really hard, because, you know, why not? We'll kick on the comms and throw out a solar panel or 2, maybe 4, make up for some of that electrical draw from all of these cores that we have here, sucking up all of our energies and whatnot. Watching that relative inclination, I was hoping to get less than 10 degrees on it, which would not really be significant, but for me it was better than I had done in either of my training launches, I guess. But yeah, so shooting way off node, trying to walk our relative inclination as far down as we could. I think I got it to just under 11, so not quite the 10 marker I would have been happy with, but as it started to creep back up, we just decided to go right down the prograde vector and then start to angle it down to circularize our orbit as best I can, but I will turn you over to Hold Me right after Miko. Alright, there's orbit 880 by 325. Let's go ahead and jettison our core stage. And we will extend our L solar panels here and activate the radiators. Activate radiator. What is our total electric charge? None. We are staying topped off. That is fantastic. And we'll just go ahead and now we'll leave that for now. Let's see the damage. We got our relative inclination down to 10.27, which is marginally better, but oh, that is what I was afraid of. Is that our inclinations would be here instead of here. I should have planned that a whole lot better. So we're going to add a maneuver out here at target periapsis, and we'll go ahead and make this burn first. Yeah, that's gonna... So we'll try to just shimmy this around a little. There we go. That doesn't do us a whole lot of favors as far as our relative inclination, however. That burn is going to be expensive as all get out. And that gave us an encounter with the moon, which we would very much like to avoid. So actually, where are we currently? Here. There's our... That's going to be so bloody expensive to do it in such a low orbit, though. But I wonder what we'd be looking at if we did that. 1,000 meters per second. See if we can't combine it with an action to raise our periapsis, or raise our apoapsis, I'm sorry, to something that comes near the orbit. 1038 meters per second. That's not terrible. I guess we're... alright, so that's 1,000. Let's see what happens if we do this in 2 steps. Or how much we can benefit if we just raise this up. Alright, that is 500, so if this is more than 500, then we know it's not the most effective. 632. Alright, well, we'll just do it here then. Half a degree, we'll try to top that off on our own. RCS to arm. How is it only 632 meters per second now? Alright, make sure throttle is pegged to 0. Where are you guys going? No one told you to move anywhere. Stage in the HT3. I don't know why the controls are pegged out on 3 axes. No one told you to move anywhere. 3 hours? No. Oh. I was wondering what got screwed up there. Alright, let's plot this node. It's 15 minutes, but we're in time warp because RCS wants to be stupid. Alright, 1349. That makes so much more sense. Node's in 11 minutes. Let's jump this up a little bit. It won't take us 5 minutes to do that, but okay. Yeah, it's going to take us a little bit to torque this massive thing around. Let's go ahead and lock these 2 primaries. Make sure RCS up top is only pulling from the RCS tank. You have 11 minutes of runtime, which does take into account boil off this stage normally sees. Won't be seeing any of this. Well, probably, yeah, it will. This is going to stay in orbit for days and days and days trying to perform this rendezvous. But hopefully significantly less boil off than we experienced with our trial run on the RA9EHV. Alright, we'll shut it down in about 3 minutes. Ullage. Risky, stable. Very stable. Ignition. You just point at that maneuver node, please and thank you. And we will just watch our relative inclination. That's the more important figure here than the actual node runtime. And it's about this part of the mission that everything goes just a little haywire. This burn went just fine, as hopefully you can tell that HG3 proving itself yet again to be an incredibly reliable platform. But we'll get a relative inclination down to about 0.75 degrees, which is no big deal, and then make another correction to try to adjust our cyclical period to give us some kind of match with our target asteroid. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way, but then Kerbal Alarm Clock popped up, and it was time to go take care of some Aero captures of our resupply pods that are currently in orbit of Mars. This being the first of 2 resupply pods, and it is making its time warpy approach. I already set up Flight Computer to do all the things for it. I just forgot to press record. So panels will retract. It will angle itself into prograde. Current periapsis is set for about 30 kilometers, which for something that comes in at right about 100 tons should be close enough-ish. We're hoping. Anyway, we've done a lot of these before, which is why I don't feel too terribly bad about just skipping through most of it, although the cities on Mars are a little disconcerting. The ablative struts will go ahead and free themselves, freeze up a little mass. Good times, obviously. And then we'll just let the atmosphere of Mars do the rest. I think our altitude actually gets down to about 20 kilometers actual, with a 30 kilometer periapsis. It's pretty normal, but flying over some canyons doesn't phase us all that much, thankfully. There is our camera change indicating that we are captured, so everything after this is just lowering our orbit apoapsis, which is all profit, basically. We're going to make several more Aero braking passes later, but for now we're just going to put this into a nice big parking orbit and hope that things kind of settle down. After our emergency with the asteroid is done, we will come back and break these into a lower orbit and eventually get them on over to Harmonia Station for resupply. One of these should be enough to refuel the Artemis 4 almost completely, which means the second one will be pretty much excess fuel, which is nice. But I think the second mission will have to dock first because it has the docking adapters. And turns out we might need docking adapters. So there's our current orbit. Not great, but also not too bad. We'll come back and pay more attention to that later. So we're going to jump back to our asteroid redirect mission, where we are basically spending a lot of time tinkering with nodes, which is why I've sped all of this up. Basically trying to get ourselves a closest approach, but I think we'll make a correction out here at our apogee and try to match our perigs, or at least match them a little better. So try to tweak that closest approach as best that we can. And with that node set up, 43 some odd meters per second, we're going to do this entirely on the back of RCS because we need to start conserving the ignitions left in our HG3. I think we have 2 left. It might be 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. So, yeah, 43 meters per second, all on the back of RCS. We'll pump some fuel from our, I don't know, payload into the fuel tanks for the B upper stage thrusters, and then we've got ourselves a nice node set up for a closest approach, which is really, really awesome. This is another 90 meters per second. We're going to start at about 7 minutes out or so. Again, we're going to attempt to do this entirely on the back thrusters, because, yeah, I'm very sure that we only have 2 ignitions left in the HG3 now. And like I said, we're going to need one of those to match orbit because we are still pretty far away. It's going to be a couple hundred meters per second, give or take, to do that. So it'd be really nice if we could have 1 ignition left to use what liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen we have left in the tanks to nudge this asteroid somewhere. But in other news, our other resupply pod is entering Mars SOI, and we're going to have to go deal with that very quickly. So this is our second resupply pod. This is the one that has the docking adapters. And we need to make a small correction to bring our periapsis down from about 80 kilometers down to the 30 or so kilometer range. Now this one, while it does have those additional docking adapters, has way less ablator on the heat shield, which makes it a bit lighter. But thing I forgot to do, circularize the orbit of our initial supply pod. Lucky timing here, we're just a little bit past periapsis, but we had to wait for things to boot. We can eject the heat shield and then light that AJ-10 to put ourselves in a very safe parking orbit, 147 by like 15 million. Obviously, we will drop that down later to Aero brake into a better orbit for rendezvous. Now, here's our second pod making its approach, extraordinarily similar to the first one. We'll get the flight computer all set up to retract or deploy solar panels based on how much we need them. And now that we're at our retraction altitude, we'll spin around to prograde, get a nice view of Olympus Mons there off to the side. We are well clear of it, although the altitude does get a little shaky here. Down to about 16 kilometers actual altitude, screaming across the surface at 5.5 kilometers per second. It was a good view, but I don't know. We've been closer to piling into things we didn't mean to. All in all, a successful aero capture, even more successful than the last one, seeing as this one has a little less weight to it. Ablator turns out real heavy. So we will get our solar panels deployed, make sure that we can recharge our batteries. That would be a shame. This one is actually pretty mission critical. We can't dock the other supply pods without these docking adapters, turns out. And out at our apogee, we will make a very quick correction to put ourselves into a parking orbit and then jump back to our asteroid redirect mission, where I will turn you on over to Old Me for live coverage. Alright, let's do this. Get angled into the node. Yeah, we should probably lock these open. We are going to be using the HT3 for this. We've got 2 ignitions left on it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that already. But this one's for the marbles. There's our node. 4 minutes from burn. Let's see, we got 1:50. We'll displace 2 kilometers per second. We need to displace 223. Not a whole lot here to match velocity, so we can probably wait until 1.63 kilometers. Really? I thought I had that down to like 500 meters. I guess the rotation killed us. Let's see if we can't angle this down a bit. Alright, 157 meters, we'll leave it there. Let's get ourselves in a little closer. We got 2 minutes to go. And this thing's going to come screaming past us. Alright, 50 seconds. We don't even need nearly that much, but we might as well keep our engine ullaged. Let's bring that up just so we can light right at the word go. 40 seconds. SAS, dang it. Keep us pointed at maneuver node, please. Ullage. Very stable already, of course, because we're rotating. Whew, super nervous. 20 seconds. Ignition. Shut down. 2.8 meters per second. to kill. We'll get within 420 meters. Yeah, let's back that off a bit. Oh, that's bringing the encounter closer to us. Oh, this is awesome. Arm, control from here. I wonder if it has the same time warpy stupidness as other objects in space. "25 meters, let's kill it there. Whoa! There she is! Holy crap! That's my first asteroid, everybody. Hello, beautiful. So I've sped this bit up because I was a little worried that activating normal time warp would cause the object to jump away. As you can see, putting it in physics time warp causes it to shift. Shifting back in time warp causes it to shift back. So it is susceptible to all the same stupidity as all of our other space rendezvous objects, which means I need to sit through this in almost real time, but you don't, thankfully. There it is. Seems to be getting a little closer every time. We're going to come within 25 meters of this thing. In fact, it's still 300 meters away and looks so absolutely massive. It's just a little daunting. But we'll go ahead and try to bleed off some of this speed now. 800 meters, 200 meters. It's a fun time. So here's old me. All right, we've come to a nice stop here. So let's just get ourselves about faced and go ahead and perform our rendezvous. Okay, so I wonder where exactly we're going to hit on this lumpy mass. A nice orbital potato. That is a fairly sizable rock. That's just absolutely golden. Wow. Looks a lot like a moon rock. Wonder what happened here. Oh, we got a shadow coming in. Please make a smooth contact. Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? We bounced off. Of course we bounced off. Okay, guess I just wasn't going fast enough. Or was that too fast? We'll try slower. At like docking port speeds. Hopefully not at a weird angle. Gotcha. Insufficient avionics. Oh my god. Why, of course we have insufficient avionics. Why wouldn't we have insufficient avionics? We can still ullage our engine, though. 0 meters per second. This whole thing will do nothing to this mass of rock. Absolutely nothing. So where are we in terms of retrograde? Alright, but yeah, we have none meters per second. We're gonna need a lot more stuff up here. Alright, how about analyze telemetry from space just above Earth's water? Did not register it as a biome, so I don't know, maybe we have to attach stuff to it or something. Turn our RCS ports off. Oh, we can't, because we don't have avionics control. Lock, lock, lock. Out. Well, this should be interesting. At least we're pointing relatively retrograde here, so that means we'll be relatively prograde at apogee. This is a fascinating thing. We're going to need another avionics core. We're going to need another HG3. We're going to need 10 more. Very interesting indeed. Alright, anyway, I have kept all of you here long enough. Sorry, this one kind of dragged out a little bit, but hey, look, we caught it. I mean, it's kind of dragging us down the highway, but whatever. We rendezvoused with it. And we have netted none science so far, but we'll change that, I promise. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So, until then, see you later.